Picture this, you're riding across the endless plains, wind in your hair, on a horse that feels like an extension of your soul. You're not just a warrior, you're a Lakota Sioux part of a people so legendary they've shaped the very heart of American history. But here's the kicker, their story isn't just about battles or buffalo hunts. It's about resilience, spirituality, and a fight for identity that's still raging today. Want to know what made the Lakota unstoppable? Stick with me for the next 20 minutes, because I'm about to blow your mind with a story that's equal parts epic and heartbreaking. And trust me, you'll want to comment your thoughts by the end. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the stories that shaped our world. And today, we're talking about the Lakota Sioux, warriors of the plains. If you've ever watched a Western movie and seen those fearless riders charging across the screen, you've probably seen the Lakota's legacy. But Hollywood? It's got nothing on the real story. We're gonna unpack their origins, their unbreakable spirit, and the battles that made them legends, plus a few mind-blowing facts you've probably never heard. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and let's ride into history together. Ready? Let's do this. So, where do we start? The Lakota are part of the larger Sioux Nation, a powerhouse of Native American tribes that once ruled thousands of square miles across the Great Plains. Around the 1700s, the Lakota broke off from their Dakota and Nakota cousins, moving west from Minnesota to what's now North and South Dakota. Why? Well, picture this, they were pushed by conflicts with neighboring tribes like the Ojibwe, but they didn't just survive, they thrived. They saw the wide open plains and thought, this is home. Now, here's where it gets wild. The Lakota didn't just adapt to the plains, they mastered them. Around this time, horses were becoming common, thanks to trade with the Spanish. The Lakota? They took to horses like they were born for it. Imagine going from walking everywhere to riding a horse that could outrun the wind. It was a game changer. They became nomadic buffalo hunters, living in teepees, those iconic cone-shaped tents that they could pack up and move in hours. Let's pause for a sec. Have you ever tried to hunt something moving at 40 miles an hour, on horseback, with just a bow and arrow? Yeah, me neither. But the Lakota made it look easy. Their skill was unreal, and it wasn't just about food. Buffalo were their everything, meat for dinner, hides for clothes, bones for tools. It's like they had a Walmart on full legs. Comment below, what's the most impressive survival skill you've ever heard of? I'm curious. But the Lakota weren't just hunters. They were warriors. And I mean warriors star. Their culture was built on courage, honor, and protecting their way of life. Men trained from childhood to be fearless in battle, and women? They were the backbone of the community, managing camps, crafting, and raising the next generation. Everyone had a role, and it created this tight-knit, unstoppable society. Now, let's talk spirituality, because this is where the Lakota's heart shines. They believed everything, plants, animals, people, was connected by the Great Spirit, Wakantanka. Ever heard of the White Buffalo Calf Woman? She's their sacred messenger, said to have brought the Lakota 7 holy ceremonies, like the Sundance and the Vision Quest. These weren't just rituals, they were ways to stay grounded, to find purpose. Imagine going out alone into the wilderness for days, no food, no water, just you and your thoughts, waiting for a vision to guide your life. Would you do it? Drop a comment, what's the most intense thing you've done to find clarity? Here's a little-known fact that'll make your jaw drop, the Lakota's Vision Quest inspired parts of modern psychology. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, studied Native American spirituality and used it to shape his ideas about self-discovery. So, next time you're journaling to find yourself, you might just be channeling a Lakota tradition. Mind blown. But here's where the story takes a turn. By the 1800s, the Lakota's world was under siege. European settlers were pouring west, and with them came disease, broken treaties, and a hunger for land. The Lakota didn't sit back, they fought. And they fought hard star. Enter the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1851. It was supposed to guarantee the Lakota's land, including their sacred Black Hills, in exchange for safe passage for settlers on the Oregon Trail. Sounds fair, right? Wrong. The US broke that treaty faster than you can say gold rush. In 1854, a single cow, a cow, sparked a war. A Mormon settler's cow wandered into a Lakota camp, and when the army showed up, things escalated. Cannons were fired, a Lakota chief named Conquering Bear was killed, and the Lakota retaliated, wiping out the detachment. This wasn't just about a cow, it was about disrespect, about a way of life being threatened. Fast forward to the 1860s. The US was pushing the Bozeman Trail right through Lakota territory. The Lakota, led by chiefs like Red Cloud, said, "Not on our watch." Red Cloud's war was a masterclass in guerrilla warfare. Picture this: Lakota warriors, moving like shadows, ambushing soldiers and supply trains. In 1866, Crazy Horse, one of the most badass warriors in history, lured an 80-man army unit into a trap. The Fetterman fight, as it's called, ended with every single soldier dead. The US had to abandon their forts, and the Lakota burned them to the ground. Let's stop here for a hot second. Crazy Horse was 25 years old during this fight. 25? What were you doing at 25? I was probably binge-watching Netflix, not outsmarting an army. Comment below, who's a young leader you admire today, and why? But the victories didn't last. In 1874, gold was found in the Black Hills, sacred Lakota land. The US ignored the Fort Laramie Treaty and sent in miners and soldiers. The Lakota, led by Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, weren't having it. In 1876, they pulled off one of the greatest upsets in military history, the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Here's how it went down. General George Custer, with his 200-man 7th Cavalry, thought he could steamroll a massive Lakota and Cheyenne encampment. Big mistake. On June 25, 1876, the Lakota and their allies surrounded Custer's men. In under an hour, Custer and his entire force were gone. It was a total wipeout. The Lakota called it the Battle of Greasy Grass, and it sent shockwaves across the US. But here's the gut punch: Little Bighorn was their last major win. The US Army doubled down, chasing the Lakota relentlessly. By 1877, Crazy Horse surrendered to save his starving people. He was later killed under shady circumstances while resisting imprisonment. Sitting Bull fled to Canada but returned in 1881, only to be killed in 1890 during a botched arrest tied to the Ghost Dance movement, a spiritual revival that terrified the US government. By the late 1800s, the Lakota were forced onto reservations. Their buffalo were nearly extinct, hunted to oblivion by settlers and railroads. Then came the boarding schools, places designed to kill the Indian, save the man. Lakota children were taken from their families, given English names, and forbidden to speak their language. Imagine being a kid, ripped from your home, told your culture is worthless. It's heartbreaking. But the Lakota never gave up. In 1890, the Wounded Knee Massacre saw over 250 Lakota men, women, and children killed by US troops. It was a low point, but it didn't break them. Fast forward to the 20th century, the Lakota fought back through activism. In 1973, the American Indian movement occupied Wounded Knee, demanding justice. They held the town for 71 days, shining a spotlight on native rights. Today, the Lakota are still fighting. They're resisting pipelines like Dakota Access, protecting their land and water. They're reviving their language, with apps and schools teaching Lakota to kids. And get this, in 2020, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that half of Oklahoma belongs to native tribes, a legal win inspired by cases like the Lakota's fight for the Black Hills. The Lakota are proof that resilience isn't just surviving, it's thriving against all odds. Here's what hit me hardest researching this. The Lakota story isn't just history, it's a mirror. They fought for their identity, their home, their way of life. And in 2025, aren't we all fighting for something? Maybe it's your dreams, your family, your truth. The Lakota teach us that no matter how big the enemy, whether it's an army or your own doubts, you keep going. You find your vision, like they did on their quests, and you chase it. One last story. In 2016, during the Dakota Access Pipeline protests, Lakota elders prayed as water cannons blasted them in freezing temperatures. They didn't fight back with weapons, they fought with spirit. That's the Lakota way. It's not just about winning battles, it's about standing tall. What's your battle? What's the one thing you're fighting for right now? Drop it in the comments, I'm reading every single one. Let's inspire each other, because that's what this channel's all about. Alright, fam, if you love diving into the Lakota's epic story, smash that like button, it really helps the channel grow. If you're as blown away as I am, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Share this video with someone who needs a dose of inspiration, and let's keep the conversation going in the comments. What surprised you most about the Lakota? What's your fight? I can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and keep riding. Peace.